Well, good morning. It's almost 8:19 WHBY on a Thursday AM Fox Valley. I'm Dave Edwards. It is such a pleasure. Every month we really look forward to this chat with Tiffany Holtz of Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group as she's joining us here on this bright and sunny, beautiful morning. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. We're turning the page. It's looking like spring.
Doesn't it feel like it now?
Yes.
We're 4 days in the 60s.
Right.
Are people pumped about spring when it comes to real estate though?
Yes, I can definitely tell when the weather shifts, my phone starts ringing more and more. It's like people are more eager to think about, making that move, whether it's, across town or across country.
I keep an eye on the rates. We're going down here, aren't we?
Yes, rates are ticking down just a little bit, so that's a good thing. We always talk about like when we see like the Fed making changes and that being the short-term interest rate, and that the long-term interest rate, the mortgage interest rate really hasn't behaved like we thought it would with those corrections. So it's been very interesting to kind of watch and see what's happening.
Okay, Tiffany Holtz is here from Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, and as you would expect, we're going to talk a lot about things you should be thinking about, especially if you're thinking of selling, you're in the buying market, whatever it might be. And even helping mom and dad. That's an interesting thing you brought up because I hadn't thought about that recently. Sometimes you're helping out someone else with their property, right? Right,
yeah. So we're getting a lot of calls, and it's not surprising. It's this time of year. A lot of families calling in and saying, hey, I'm helping my mom and dad move to the next phase in their life.
Okay.
And what do they need to do? They've been in their home 20, 30, 40 years, and we really need some guidance. I think when you think about that, that's really life-changing. When you've been somewhere 20, 30, 40 years, that really is a different pace of life. And oftentimes it's maybe concerns over safety in a home, or potentially just keeping up with the house, right? Like there's so many things that you have to do to maintain a home, the taxes, the different things. Maybe it's just time for them to remove themselves from that, whatever the case might be. So we really love to sit down with the family and just go over all of the steps and do it slowly, because let's face it, when you've been in your house for 30 years, nobody wants to put a for sale sign up the day the realtor walks in the house. There's time that needs to be invested into it and help people walk through that life change slowly. Where are they going to go next?
Exactly.
Right? And so helping everybody through that process.
Well, we used to have so many ranch homes, and then the split level started coming along, and now it's like, I don't want to do stairs anymore, right?
Right, and that's usually a big one. If somebody has lived in their house for 20 plus years, and now they're looking at the fact that we don't have a bedroom on the main floor. The full bathroom is upstairs. Those, of course, become safety concerns, or maybe just not something you can do anymore. And so really helping people itemize, like, okay, let's get the house decluttered. Let's start removing the things that you're not going to take with you, and let's get it pared down to what you want to take with you to the next move. That's step one. Step two, of course, is helping them determine what the price of their home is so that they know how much equity they have to go purchase a new home. And sometimes that's more of a lateral move from a financial standpoint, but it's just getting everything on one level or getting everything, maybe it's going into a condo where there just isn't as much maintenance to have to be concerned about.
I was going to mention condos because it comes to that point. Are they still popular? I mean, the condo market for a while was dipping and then it was right back up again, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there are very few condos actually for sale right now. So, I mean, that market has definitely bumped back up. And we're hoping actually to see with some development in our area, some more condos coming to the forefront, because I think that is definitely a need. We have a need for development in every phase of the real estate industry.
So how is inventory right now? How would you describe it?
It's ticked up a little bit. So, the last couple of years, if you've heard me on the show, I'm screaming about inventory being like at a 1 month supply. And we've definitely seen that bump up where people have more options. So that is good. The people that were kind of in that stronghold of I'm not leaving my 3% interest rate have broke ties with that mentality, because life has changes, right? There's deaths in family, there's divorces, there's job transfers, there's all of the things that happen in life that make people move. And the reality is, I think people thought it was just going to come right back down to 3%, and that isn't happening, and people have to make a change.
And that's a reality they'll have to realize. It's just not going to go back to 3 anytime soon.
Correct. And so if you had a baby and your two
Sure.
or three bedroom home isn't big enough for your family anymore, and now you have to let go of that mortgage interest rate to move on to the next phase of life. You know, that's really what we see happening.
Okay.
Those are the people that are moving out of those mortgages.
Tiffany Holtz joining us with her wonderful team too at Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group here on WHBY. If I may go back just to the mom and dad factor again, and I was thinking about this. If they've been in that house for 30, 40, 50 years, they bought it for like 50 grand?
Yes, the equity.
Now it's worth 400 or 500?
The equity position is
Oh my
huge.
gosh.
Here's a staggering statistic that I learned yesterday. From 2019, the average appreciation in the state of Wisconsin is 57%.
Holy moly.
So we're talking 6 years. If you bought your house in 2019, basically double it.
Oh my gosh. What a stat.
I mean, that's just how crazy it is. So yes, to your point, now go back and think you've lived there 30 years. Imagine the equity position that you have in your home. I mean, that's owning a part of America, right? That's part of building wealth in America is real estate.
What are you hearing from builders? And I'm bringing this back to something you and I chatted about before we came on the air. That new Thrivent property out there looks awfully enticing, but that's going to be, wow, that's going to be something if they pull it off, right?
Yes. So as I was mentioning, yesterday I was at an economic development meeting with the Realtors Association. It was very interesting. The mayor of the city of Appleton was there.
Good.
Was very excited to hear about his mindset with growth in the city of Appleton. Our country as a whole is under an inventory shortage for what we need for housing.
Sure.
And there was a lot of talk about moving the needle in the right direction to look at zoning regulations and look at different developmental phases within our communities to provide housing for our residents. And so yes, going back to the Thrivent, I think that what I loved when I was reading most about that is that they want to keep the integrity of the trails and the preservation of that for our community.
I love that.
I think that's amazing. I think that is really good. Now I think the strategy has to be, how do you develop that area and infrastructure wise to accommodate, you know, that piece of property, because you're putting a lot of people in that
Could be thousands, right?
section of land, and thousands. And so we have to think about roads and schools and highways and all the different things, which we have a lot of really smart community leaders, and I'm sure that they can put together a plan. But I think that is definitely a target right now.
you're looking at it, I know you.
Yeah.
But the creativity is, I think, what's important here, because we don't want to do things the way we did in the 80s and 90s. There are new ways, new landscaping things that come into play, aren't there?
Not only new landscaping and new things that come into play, but the desire for different types of housing, I think, is what's very interesting to me, is that we're looking at not only single family residents, but condos, and sometimes, you know, duplexes and quadplexes that people are interested in owning because of the maintenance factor. You share that maintenance with 2, 3, 4 owners that really can be enticing to people on different levels. We're talking about people within our community that have lived here a long time. They want to keep living here, and we have to have phases of housing for everyone in our community.
And we need to make it attractive so that they're interested, right?
Absolutely, yes. And I mean, what a beautiful area over there.
Goodness.
We have lots of beautiful areas in our community, not just the city of Appleton. And I think what I'm starting to see is communities understand that it's really taking a different thought process. Where what once was isn't what's happening right now, right? Not everybody wants an acre of land anymore. And I think they're coming together and saying we can put more houses on smaller parcels of property.
As you've been hearing, you can hear Tiffany's voice and her team that gets involved too. What are the next steps? Okay, spring is here, we're excited. What are the next steps they should do to get in touch with you?
Yes, please give me a call at 920-574-4422. If you're thinking of putting your house on the market, I love it when you call me early, because oftentimes what I see is sellers start making improvements that maybe I can give you better tips of like where to spend your money and where not to spend your money. And so get me involved early. You can always go to my website at tiffanyholtz.com. There's a button right there that says My Home's Value. If you want a quick glimpse of what your home is likely worth in today's market, that'll give you a snapshot. But if you want a full-fledged market evaluation, it's free, it's no obligation. I'll come over to your house, we'll walk through it together, and I'll give you pricing on your home.
Beautiful. One more time on the phone number.
920-574-4422.
We will see you in a month, and we're really going to be digging in the spring.
We sure are.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you.
828 WHBY.